Welcome back to the 9th Gym program, and today we are continuing the restricted guide series with Kyurem-White. This is, in my opinion, the best Kyurem form, although both forms are very solid, other than the base form. The base form kind of sucks, honestly. But both of the fused forms are very, very strong. So this one is Dragon Ice typing. They all are actually Dragon Ice, which is interesting. And then it has the ability Turboblaze, which is essentially the same as Terravolt, which is what the other form has as well. So that's, pretty cool. The ability is actually very solid. Moves can be used on target regardless of its abilities, so that's like kind of cool. It's not really going to come up much, but it's like a kind of cool ability, so that's interesting. The other one gets more usage out of it, being able to get through Lightning Rod, so that's really interesting. But yeah, that's about it. Kyurem, I guess it gets through Flash Fire, which is kind of cool, but not gonna come up too frequently. As far as the stats go, it's very solid. Dragon Ice typing is also very solid, so overall, it's just pretty solid. Let's talk about the Dragon Ice typing. So it gives us 5 weaknesses, which is actually kind of bad. Fighting, Rock, Dragon, Steel, and Fairy all are pretty big in the meta, so it's not great, but this Pokemon is fairly bulky, being able to take a lot of those hits to the face pretty well. And then it also has 3 resistances, which is Water, Electric, and Grass, which are all 3 very big, typings in the meta once again. So, honestly, having 5 weaknesses is not bad for the Weakness Policy variant because none of them are quad weaknesses, but it has a lot of different moves that can hit it for weakness, activating its Weakness Policy, but nothing too special standing out there other than just Dragon Ice is pretty cool. Anyway, as far as the stats go, it's pretty solid. HP 125 is very good. Defense at 90 is okay, and special defense at 100 are okay. Its general bulk is okay overall. 125 HP is very solid, but its defense and special defense are nothing too special, so that's okay. But its attack is terrible. Well, its attack is actually very good, but it doesn't really matter because we're only using special attack. And as far as special attack goes, 170 is outrageous. It has an incredible special attack. It's doing a lot of damage, so Weakness Policy or Life Orb variants will just be taking out everything. It does so much damage. It really does. It's very good. The speed stat is not bad. 95 is not like too good. It's not too bad. It's actually very average. It gets to 161 with investment, which is pretty average. We have a lot of Pokemon in that 170 to 200 range, so it is getting outsped by a lot, but it is still very good. Anyway, that is about it for the overview. Let's go ahead and talk about the builds that I have for this today. So I actually have 2 builds. One is going to be very, very standard. You're just Life Orb 252, 252. Very standard Life Orb Sweeper. But we do also have a second build, which is Weakness Policy, a little bit more calculated. So we'll be talking about those both right now. Let's go ahead and talk about the first one, Life Orb Dynamax Super strong. That's pretty good. Life Orb, Turboblaze, nothing going to change there. Level 50, nothing going to change there. We have EVs at 4 HP, 252 special attack, 252 speed. Very solid, very standard, but very solid. Timid Nature as well, just being as fast as possible while still doing as much damage as possible. It's very good. IV 0 attack, because why would you, need the attack IVs? This isn't mandatory, but if you're taking this to a tournament, I would suggest trying to get that 0 IV attack spread, but it only really stops your confusion damage and, foul play damage, which isn't huge. Anyway, Kyurem-White at Weakness Policy is also going to be very solid. Turboblaze, once again, not going to change that. But our EV spread is going to change, and the moveset is going to change just barely. And I forgot to say the moveset. Whoops. On the first one, the Life Orb set, we have Draco Meteor, Blizzard, Earth Power, and Protect. Draco Meteor and Blizzard both being its dual stab that offer the most amount of damage because it is going to be Dynamaxed, so might as well get that biggest base power since you're not getting those bad secondary effects of not being very accurate or, losing special attack. So since you're not going to be getting those during Dynamax, we just went for the most attack. Likely this Pokemon will faint during its Dynamax stage, so we don't have to worry too much, but even if it lives one turn and goes for a Draco Meteor, it's probably okay because it'll faint the next turn. Anyway, so it's okay. Kyurem-White at Weakness Policy. Let's explain this build because it's pretty wild spread. We have 108 into HP, 116 into, 28 into defense, 116 into special attack, 4 into special defense, and 252 into speed. Overall, going to be very solid. They're doing a lot of damage here, and while still being very fast. So with Weakness Policy, you don't really need to do too much investment into special attack just because it does so much damage. Like, an incredible amount of damage. With a base attack or a base special attack of 170, it's doing a lot of damage, and then times 2 with the Weakness Policy, it's doing an incredible amount of damage. So I wasn't too worried about putting it all into special attack, so I wanted to go into bulk some. So with 108 HP and 28 defense, we are living a good bit of attacks like +1 Kartana, Dragapult, Urshifu, a whole bunch of things, a mess of good Pokemon. Unfortunately, we do not live Zacian, so be careful in that Zacian matchup because that is going to be the roughest matchup for Kyurem-White for sure. So going with something like Babiri could be an idea, but also putting something like Torkoal Venusaur on your team could be really good because they are really good out to the Zacian. So that is good. As far as the other spread on this, 116 special attack was just what I got to. After putting in 252 speed and then the 108 into HP and defense, we just went all into special attack, and then to make it an even spread that actually takes advantage of all EV points, we put the 4 into special defense and then the rest into special attack, just so that we can get, maximize the spread, maximize the EV points. It makes sense. IV 0 attack once again in Timid Nature just to be as fast as possible here. Kyurem-White wants to be fast, and we're probably not going to be self-procking, but you could be self-procking with some stuff. Like you could go like a Mach Punch on like Conkeldurr or something. I don't know. There's some version of cool things that can happen that can self-proc. It could happen, but that's not really what this build is for. It's kind of just to take an attack and then dish out a lot of damage. That's why the bulk spread is there. So that's good. Yeah. Draco Meteor, Blizzard, Fusion Flare, Protect. Fusion Flare is mostly here for the Calyrex Ice damage calc that we have. With this spread, with Weakness Policy, you can competently 2-hit KO Calyrex Ice while it's doing not that much damage to our Kyurem. So I think it's a good matchup, and Fusion Flare makes that good matchup a good matchup. Makes sense. Anyway, we have a couple of different options. It is a customizable spread. You can definitely change it up some. We have Ice Beam and Dragon Pulse if you don't want to use the moves like Draco Meteor and Blizzard. Just to, not have to Dynamax it always, or have a little bit of variance there. When you're not Dynamax, don't have to use moves like Draco Meteor and Blizzard with not very good secondary effects. But honestly, Blizzard, if you max Hailstorm once, Blizzard's an amazing move because it skips the accuracy check, so it just always hits both Pokemon. So it's really good after that, Dynamax if you still have the weather in play, but it won't always happen that way. Anyway, we have a couple of other items as well. First off, I have Assault Vest. Assault Vest is just solid on this Pokemon, being able to just take less damage from special attacking moves while still, not having to take too much damage. Like, that's really it. You don't need Protect on this set, going for Assault Vest is definitely an option as well. And then Babiri, like I said, living that Zacian would be good, but you could just support the team with things that destroy Zacian, which is what I'm going to tell you about here in one moment. So that's about it for the builds, the spreads in general. Let's talk about some synergetic Pokemon, the ones that I have down here in the bottom right corner. So first off, let's talk about some general stuff. Of course you have Grimmsnarl and Incineroar. They damage Deafen with Screens and Intimidate. You also have Fake Out, accessible on both Pokemon. You have Thunder Wave on the Grimmsnarl, being able to be a good form of speed control, which Kyurem-White does not have on its own. And it's just solid. Also, you have Foul Play, or not Foul Play, Parting Shot and Spirit Break, or Spirit Break and Parting Shot respectively. Just being able to damage Deafen is good for, a Dynamax Sweeper like Kyurem-White. Priority Screens is good. I don't know what else you want me to say. That's about it for Grimmsnarl and Incineroar. Just generic, good Pokemon support is always appreciated. Next, we have Torkoal and Venusaur, which is a good duo of Pokemon that can go into most teams, and Kyurem-White doesn't really need anything to be good other than Pokemon that support it, and Pokemon that support its bad matchups. Things like Zacian, which, like I said, is a bad matchup. Torkoal and Venusaur is one of the go-tos to take down Zacians, in my opinion. Being able to sleep it, Burning Jealousy. You have Eruption, potentially, if you want to go for an offensive Torkoal, which isn't really used much anymore, but is still an option to be there. It's not bad. Kyurem-White could also work well under Trick Room, so you could have that middle variant team with Trick Room, as well as maybe even Speed Control in the form of, Trick Room. And then you also have things like Thundurus, or Thunder Wave, Grimmsnarl could be good. You have Chlorophyll, Venusaur being fast, so you have a lot of different variants there that you could go with. But Torkoal Venusaur seems like the strongest against Zacian, which is a problem. Anyway, that is it for this slide. Let's go ahead and talk about speed tiers. Speed tiers, like I said, Kyurem-White is pretty competent, being at that 161 on the same speed tier as things like Rayquaza, Tapu Lele, Arcanine, Zygarde 50%. It's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. It is going to be outsped by a lot of Pokemon in this format because, like I said, we do have a lot of 160 to 200 Pokemon range, like Lunala, Solgaleo, Xerneas, Yveltal, Zapdos, Volcarona, Salamence, Palkia, Nihilego. We've got Kartana, Thundurus, Tapu Koko, Dracovish at Scarf. We've got Dragapult, Regieleki, so many Pokemon in that range that is going to be outspeeding Kyurem-White, and without a built-in speed control thing like Max Airstream or even Max Strike, which it probably has Max Strike to be honest, we're just not looking too great on speed. 161's not bad. You are outspeeding a lot of good Pokemon, things like Lando T, the Groudon, Kyogre, unless that's Scarf. You have Kyurem. Hey, look at that. Hey, look at that. Anyway, it's not bad. I mean, if you don't want to go for speed, you don't have to. You can go more into general bulk, and then you're going to be down there at that 115 speed range. Just know you're going to be outsped by things like Lando T, the Groudon, Kyogre, potentially things like Excadrill. You have a lot of things that are going to be outspeeding still, and being at 161 is not too bad, and like I said, it could still work for a Trick Room, kind of thing on your team. Not bad. Anyway, that is it for speed tiers. Let's talk about damage calcs. So, the first couple are going to be offensive. The last three are going to be defensive, with that defensive spread. So, yeah. First two are going to be our regular Life Orb 252 spread. It makes sense. All right, so 252 special attack, Life Orb, Turboblaze, Kyurem-White, Max Quake, a whole lot of things there, tongue twister. Into our 252 HP, 132 plus special defense Incineroar, which is currently the most used spread on Pikalytics. That's usually what I go by for these calcs, just because it's very generalized. We are hitting 101 to 119%, which is guaranteed OHKO, which is great to have on that Incineroar, because once again, Incineroar is a top 5 Pokemon. I don't know why I said once again there, because I didn't state that before, but still, very good damage calc to have into that Incineroar. Great stuff. Next, we have 252 plus special attack, Life Orb, Turboblaze, Kyurem, W, Max Hail, a whole lot of stuff once again. Max Hailstorm into that 4 HP Dynamax Thundurus, hitting 135 to 160, which is guaranteed OHKO. That is into the Life Orb build, but we have seen an influx in AV, which is Assault Vest Thundurus recently, and if that's the case, you're only going to have a 43% chance to OHKO, so keep that in mind. If it looks like it's going to be an Assault Vest, then yeah, you're not going to knock it out always, but it's still a lot of damage. Next, we have +2 from Weakness Policy, 116 special attack, Turboblaze, Fusion Flare, not even the max, into the Calyrex Ice Rider, hitting 49 to 58%. That was supposed to be the max. It's still not going to take an OHKO, but it is a very decisive 2-hit KO, as you can see here, which is good. 49.7 to 58.9, 99.9% chance, or 99.6% chance to 2-hit KO the Calyrex Ice, which is a very good thing to have, because that guy's pretty good, and pretty bulky, and pretty used in standard, so it's not bad to have. Next, we have 252 attack, Life Orb, Dragapult, Max, Wormwind into our Dynamaxed Kyurem with the 108 HP and 28 defense, hitting 67.5 to 81%, or to 80.1%. Guaranteed 2 KO, not bad calc to have. Next, we have 252 attack, Choice Band, Urshifu. This is on non-Dynamaxed, of course, because close combat actually gets weaker with Dynamax. Nobody Dynamaxes their Urshifu single strike. It happens every now and again, but nobody does it. Into our 108 HP, 28 defense, Kyurem, we are taking 75 to 89%, which is a lot of damage, guaranteed to a KO, but that will activate Weakness Policy, and then we take a huge knockout. Somewhere. Next, we have +1 from Beast Boost, 4 attack, Kartana Dynamaxed, Max Steel Spike into our 108, 28 defense. Here, hitting 84.1 to 99.5, which is guaranteed to a KO, guaranteed to live. A lot of Kartanos will still max, even though the Fusion Flare will take it out immediately. They will still max, thinking they're going to knock out Kyurem. They won't, and you'll kill them, and it'll be a good day. But, yeah, not a lot of Kartanos should max in that position. Sometimes it has to be, but they shouldn't. Anyway, that's it for the damage calcs. Let's talk about Single Spotlight real quick before I end the video. Single Spotlight, this Pokemon is decent. I'll give it a decent here, because Choice Specs is not too good. It could be Life Orb. You could go Life Orb or Choice Specs. Either way, you also do have access to Roost on the Kyurem, so if you don't want to go for an all-out attacking Choice Specs version, you could definitely go Roost, and that would be fine. Anyway, choice specs: Turboblaze, Draco Meteor, Ice Beam, Fusion Flare, and Freeze Dry. We didn't go for Blizzard because this isn't going to be a Dynamaxing, so we're not going to set Hailstorm, so Ice Beam is optimal here. Freeze Dry is cool. It hits our water Pokemon that might come in and be like, ha, getcha. Yeah, you can't get me because Freeze Dry can kill him, which is good. Choice specs with those 4 moves is solid. Turboblaze is alright, it's fine. And then we have 252 plus into speed, 252 into special attack, and then 4 into defense. Since we're not going to be Dynamaxing, we don't need that into HP, we'll just put it into defense. It makes more sense there. Overall, very solid. I do like the Pokemon in both VGC and singles format, but I do like it in VGC a little bit more, just because Kyurem-White doesn't really get too much more from being in singles when it gets a good bit of, usage there in doubles, being able to set up screens, being decent under Trick Room potentially, having Torkoal, Venusaur, being able to knock out that, pesky Zacian, which is the most used restricted. It's just good. It's very solid in general, and that's why I like Kyurem. Anyway, that is it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Makes a huge difference. It really does. Have a good weekend. I say have a good weekend, but it's Monday. Have a good week. Goodbye.